For August the 5th, 2022, we talk about Into the Breach Advanced Edition, Late Shift, and Solasta, Crown of the Magister. Welcome to level 428. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendes.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, Jala.
Hi, I'm here.
You're here.
Barely.
Yeah.
In defiance of health and the gods.
Yeah.
You're living the dream right now, by which I mean podcasting from bed. Which
Ooh.
as I say it, makes me feel like a monster because it makes it sound like I'm making you do this.
No. I absolutely made myself come just because I wanted something else to think about other than the fever and the chills.
Yeah.
And everything. So I've been gone for like a month and a half. My mom fell on July 3rd and broke her hip, and she went to the emergency room. They had an emergency surgery on the 4th. And then after that, they found a distended gallbladder. And so she had a second surgery the same week. Now, my mom has rheumatoid arthritis and osteoporosis. She is very, very fragile. She broke a toe. She jammed her shoulder. She's all kinds of messed up. She was in the hospital for several weeks. Then she was moved to a nursing care facility. Today, she tested positive for COVID. I have already been allergy season battling with that kind of sinus stuff. And so that's the bulk of what you hear right now. But also I'm starting to get fever and chills, which means either it's turned into a flu or I have COVID or I have both a flu and COVID at the same time. I'm so far testing negative for COVID, but I'm going to keep testing, of course, and stay on top of all of that. And of course, this means everybody in my house is run down right now. My dad and I are feeling about the same. Luckily, Dave is not, like, he's tired, but he's not having the fever or the chills or any of that stuff. So he's doing okay, more or less. I mean, tired, but serviceable. Yeah. So yeah, like that's been my month of July. Also, my birthday happened. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. It was okay until it wasn't.
Right.
But I did, however, have the fun time of interviewing Divinity Studios. That episode drops on August 5th, which is the same day as this episode of The Level. So if you check jalachon.place, you will find my interview with Divinity Studios. They're the people who did The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, The Shapeshifting Detective, Dark Knights with Poe and Monroe, and they are currently working on Murderous Muses, which is supposed to be coming out sometime around Halloween-ish, if all goes well.
That's really cool that you got to talk to them. I assume that they have a sense of humor based on the games.
They are absolutely lovely people. I adore them, and I recommend that episode. There's a lot of fun talk about a bunch of different things. There's also some discussion of their murder mystery party games, like their dinner games. Dave and I did one of their murder mystery date games on my birthday, and we talked about that in my little end chat section. So we also have that kind of a review for you guys as well in that episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool that you got to talk to them. Less cool that you're sick. I appreciate you being here.
Well, I wanted to come because it's been so long since the last time I was on, and I'm like, I should probably touch base with people so they know that I'm still around somewhere.
Yeah, so they know that you're not dead, to confirm that you're just, feeling nearly dead.
Yeah, I'm just sweaty and shivery and whatever, and very, very tired. But otherwise, I am doing okay. But I had written up all of my notes.
Well, then you're ready to go to after prom.
Well, I had written up all my notes, and I'd gotten ready, and I was like looking forward to being on the show. So here I am. So it is a tribute to how much I enjoy your company and how much I enjoy the listeners that I am here right now.
Yeah.
Aw.
Welcome.
Thank you. Please don't die.
I will do my best.
Yeah.
So what's going on in everybody else's world?
How about you, Dennis?
Oh man, what is going on in my world? It's all con prep, but I feel like I've talked about that for the last several weeks. Con.
Correct.
But yeah, I have an 8-year-old now. Luke turned 8.
Holy
on the
cow, that
29th,
can't be
so
possible.
I know that's way too fast going by. But he is my son, so he wanted to have a Mario Kart themed birthday party,
Oh, nice.
which is sweet. And is also my way to shoehorn video games into this.
God damn it.
And my niece Evelyn, she turns 9 in a couple of weeks, and she's having a Five Nights at Freddy's. What's it called? The newest
man.
one, like the I don't know, something patrol or whatever. That's the one that she's having a party with Five Nights at Freddy's. So also video gaming.
Nice. Well, we wanted to do a themed cake, but we also didn't want to shell out abhorrent amounts of money.
Shell out. Come on.
Oh, hey!
Yes. Man.
Oh, my subconscious is on fire.
The low-hanging fruit. You didn't even know you picked it.
No, I didn't. Well, I'm too excited to talk about what we did. So Costco has sheet cakes that we like for birthdays, but they only have like 3 designs, and you can get like the dinosaur or the sprinkles, or the one we went with was the rainbow.
Rainbow Road.
See it?
Yeah.
And then we bought a couple of the Hot Wheels Mario Kart figures.
Nice.
And put them along the rainbow. And then they have somewhere around here, the Mario Kart track that has a finish line. We took the finish line. It was too big to put on the cake, so we put it like in front of the cake, and then rigged up Mario with the like paraglider attachment on straws coming out of the cake, looking like he's jumping off of Rainbow Road and through the finish line. It was glorious, and I was very proud of our craftiness.
Pics. Did you put them somewhere?
Oh, I need to. No, we definitely have pics. I just don't have them on me. But it was good times, and it was good cake.
That sounds like some birthday cakes that I had when I was a little kid. This is giving me nostalgia.
Oh yeah,
yeah. No, just like basically cake with Sonic toys put into it and such. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, then it is a cake and a present.
Yeah.
I think I still have some of those. I know I definitely have one. It's up on one of my little knick-knack shelves because I never throw anything away.
You've got a Sonic that you once licked the feet of.
Oh, man.
You just had to
get the icing off. To get the icing off.
Why you gotta?
Well, I mean, even with the icing on his toes, I mean, that's still going to a place, man.
It's a little degrading. Yeah.
If you're into that,
I mean, somebody is.
It was a birthday orama over the weekend, and it was a good time.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I had a really not much happening. Last week was really busy. This weekend I went to my niece plays tennis. She's very good at playing tennis. That's something that she's kind of always done with my with my brother, because my brother was a star tennis player in high school. Anyway, it was a tournament. It was the finals. And then she slipped and injured her knee. And,
oh no!
Yeah, so that was heartbreaking for the family. And it's like, God, that's not how you want to win or lose,
No.
Yeah.
No. And was it in the middle of play, or was it like?
Oh yeah. It was and like. It's like, oh, like that only happened to you because you like really committed, like your head was in the game. Mm-hmm. So it's like, man, to be punished for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So we're wishing her, a speedy recovery. That's been our health scare.
How did she take it? Was she like positive mindset or just bummed out, or?
She was pretty upset when it hurt, but she's come around. It's just one of those things. What's important? She knows what's important is getting healthy and getting back out there for the season. Like this was extracurricular. This wasn't even like playing for the team. This was her going above and beyond. So
nice. Well, now she has a reason to just work your brother for all he's worth.
Oh, the entire family's been taking
Daddy,
stuff
oh yeah,
over.
daddy,
Yeah.
please.
Man, I've been watching tennis off and on for a good many number of years now. I don't fucking understand that game at all. I have no idea how it's scored. I would like to have a word with whoever designed that.
Yeah.
It's,
And the multiple surfaces. That's the only sport I can think of that has the swap out surface skins.
yeah. It's all concrete though. I've never seen like a nice like grass tennis court up here. Just, working class playing out at the public.
You don't have enough houses to see the grass courts.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, no.
Own enough houses.
It took me. I was like, just as a region.
Yeah. Yeah, the house per grass court ratio is very important for environmental balance.
But yeah, that is all that's happening. I think that we should go and do the regular kind of show. This is going to be a short one. I'm going to say right now, putting it out there. And we're in summer mode, and we're in 3-style, and we're in one host is sick mode. All kinds of modes are engaged, and we're also going to engage the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, you've been away the longest, so we'll go to you first.
So, surprise, surprise, I actually did play some games somehow.
Nice.
So I don't remember. Did I tell everybody that I finished Contradiction?
No, the last time you were on, you were talking about kind of like the opening. You hadn't seen it through.
Okay.
I remember because you talked about the 3 moon symbol on the mask.
Yeah, so I had to make the obligatory comment of, LOL, these people are not using this symbol correctly again. Like, that's all the time in everything, right? So anyway, I did finish Contradiction, and I wanted to make some notes about some of the actors in that game. I don't want to spoil this very, very old game, but Paul Darrow, who plays Paul Rand in the game, the father, was really, really great. And he had major Emperor Palpatine energy in his line delivery, just the way that he would just unblinkingly stare and move his lips. It's actually kind of like the Grinch animated cartoon, where his lips are over animated, but then like his eyes don't move. Anyway, he unfortunately passed away in 2019, I am sad to say, but he was great. John Gwiller, who played Ryan Rand, also plays Professor Warwick in the Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker. And that is my favorite character in that game. That is the quantum doctor who just kind of pops up for a second, disappears, and is never seen again.
Yeah.
And then Rupert Booth, aka Jenks, now follows me on Twitter, so there's that.
Nice.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Fun fact that I learned on Pod with Diavecchi, Rupert Booth just owns the Jenks hat and coat. And when filming The Shapeshifting Detective, Linda Cowles got to walk around the village location they were filming at with Jenks. So, that episode is also very fun if you like Contradiction, because there are some Contradiction actors that are in Diavecchi games as well. Anyway, Contradiction set itself up as if for a sequel that just never happened, and it's sad, but it was neat.
No, it is a neat little like 4-hour snack of a game. Yeah, you got it to work on your computer.
Yeah, I got it to work. I don't know what was happening that first time, but the second time it wasn't having those issues. So I don't know if it was just some problem with something running in the background or whatever. I don't know. But any questions about Contra? Huh?
Yeah, you said it set itself up for a sequel. Was it the kind of sequel that now, because the actors are gone or aged, that it'll never happen? Or was it kind of like a, hey, this might be an anthology kind of tease where they could theoretically at some point do a sequel or a spiritual successor?
Well, the way
if they got the interest.
Yeah, the way that it ended was such that they kind of left it open-ended. It didn't resolve everything 100%. It did not tell you everything that was going on. And it also hinted that there were more hijinks to come for the Rands and their Atlas organization. And that's it. So, I mean, like, it is entirely possible for them to move forward because, they could just move forward and have the father have passed away and
Yeah.
go from there or whatever. But anyhow, so yeah, like, I was satisfied with the way that it ended, but at the same time, it also is like leaving it open to more stuff happening if
Yeah.
they ever decided to go back to that.
Mm-hmm. I have no
So-
idea if that particular creator is still doing stuff, because that's people mix them up, but that's a different company than Diavecchi, who's been much more active.
Yeah. So, but Diavecchi has also used several of the actors that were in Contradiction. So that is probably where the confusion comes in, is because some of those actors are still working in full motion video games with Diavecchi.
Yeah.
So.
I imagine the British FMV video game actors scene is pretty sparse. I don't think they're renting a huge venue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which I don't say as an insult, but more just to say, oh yeah, just they're gonna pull from people who have been in other stuff before.
Yeah. So, any other questions about Contradiction?
No, I'm happy you played it.
Yeah, I'm happy I played it too. So, moving right along, I finished The Quarry. So, I chatted about that and Until Dawn on Monster Dear Monster. That episode is out now. We do not go into a deep dive into specifics, but we do talk overall plot basics and about the monsters and some things about the way the games work generally. So, if that sounds interesting to you, that is on monsterdear.monster. We talked on that episode about how the number of characters seems bloated and creates some narrative problems. In order for Supermassive to tell a slasher story in this format with a decent length of game behind it, they have to set it up where people can start to die and the story can still go on. So if they only have 3 or 4 characters, that not very many deaths will occur in the main cast. So they can't do that. They have to have a bit of a bloated cast in order to present people to kill off. And
they need bodies to become inert.
Yep. And the game sets up some characters with flags that make you think that they're going to be way more important than they actually become. That was kind of a disappointment to me, but apparently is a common thread with the other Supermassive games of this type.
Oh, yeah.
The treatment of different characters is really imbalanced, and I think that's just because they can't give everybody equal screen time and also start killing off people and so on. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like a problem with the setup that they've got, just like an intrinsic built-in issue. So the game overall channels a bunch of different references. Friday the 13th, of course, a little of Last Unicorn with Mommy Fortuna, the fortune teller kind of thing going on. Resident Evil 7 with backwater country people in a big house. The Wolfman with the Gypsy Curse, and so on. The game conserves those resources by having the werewolves and the Wendigo from Until Dawn look very similar, so there's really less modeling that needs to happen. They look almost exactly alike.
To a degree where it is unclear what the threat is when you first see it. It does not look like what it ends up being.
And I have to say that the podcast at the end of the game is absolutely atrocious, and I cannot sit through listening to it at all. I know it's supposed to be a parody and this, that, and the other, but oh my god, I can't. I couldn't listen to it. And the pacing was slow at first, which works fine for me, but then around Chapter 7, it starts accelerating so quickly that a whole lot of things happen at once. And the chapter lengths for characters are all uneven, so if you're couch co-oping the game, there's a possibility of somebody having the controller for just a few minutes. This happened when I was playing with Dave and John and Desiree. And the ending also felt really abrupt, and the epilogue felt really uninspired and uninteresting. It didn't feel like there was any payoff for sitting through the game. But overall, the game was fun. Obviously not original, but not trying to be. The characters were more likable as time went on, and some of the interactions were really fun, such as Ryan and Dylan, who, if you have them flirt with each other, have a very particularly awkward energy that's just very cute. And I'm interested in trying some of the Dark Pictures anthology now that I've successfully played the Quarry to see how those go for me. So,
Those are substantially shorter. So they're going to be a little bit more snacky, I think. Which may or may not be good. I mean, it's, it's part of that like bloatedness of the Quarry is definitely a result of them feeling like they need to justify it being a full price thing. So let's put more people in it. Let's have more kind of running plot lines and stuff as it goes. The Dark Pictures ones are much more focused.
Well, then I'll be interested in seeing how those go for me when I do get to those. They are added to the backlog somewhere. So
the podcast at the end, so there's kind of like a running element where one of the characters listens to this supernatural podcast. One of the episodes is about the summer camp where they're at. It becomes plot important. Anybody who is thinking about including a podcast in their work of fiction, as podcasts become more popular, just kind of a more mainstream thing that people are familiar with, your fictional podcast cannot be hosted by people who hate each other. Which is the case in the podcast on the show, or in the game. The relationship is entirely antagonistic, which above and beyond the stilted writing in it and the delivery was a real just kind of like, oh, these people, like, what are they listening to that they think anything is like this?
Yeah.
There's an appetite for shade that I think I don't think any of us share.
Yeah,
but I could see a world where there are podcasts that people hate each other, and that's the thing. That's the gimmick. That's the pitch.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know.
No, me neither.
So, well, anyway, so any other questions about the Quarry?
No.
Mm-mm.
Cool. So the last thing that I will talk about for today is Late Shift. It's a full motion video crime thriller game developed by Control Movie and published by Wales Interactive in 2017. There are 7 different endings. I did not play through all of them. I got like 2, and that was good. You cannot skip the scenes that you've seen. So, it becomes tedious to try to go through. It is highly cinematic, more of an interactive movie than an adventure game. There's no QTEs, no movement controls, just time choices between 2 things at various points in the narrative. And I think this game was actually shown at like film festivals and stuff. Oh yeah, actually, I have that in my notes. The New York Film Festival and Raindance Film Festival, among others. It was also written by the author of the Sherlock Holmes 2009 film. So,
weird.
Yeah, weird pull. So in the plot, after being forced into the robbery of a lucrative auction house, a mathematics student named Matt is left proving his innocence in the heist, and he also ends up getting into a whole bunch of hijinks with basically the triad.
Okay.
So anyway, it's a fun game, but I don't want to spoil it. It's basically an interactive movie, so it is well shot and I enjoyed it, but yeah, like definitely whatever ending you get is going to be your canon ending because you cannot skip anything. So
what you're making me think of, or what this must have been a predecessor to, is the interactive series that are on Netflix now. Have you guys done any of those?
I'd reported about those like a number of years ago on the NBoss. Just because I was like, oh, even Netflix is trying to do games now. So.
Yeah, I was going to make that comparison just because the choices are so simple, just left or right, basically. Reminds me of the specific one it reminds me of is the Black Mirror episode Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not have the stomach to try that, but the Carmen Sandiego Kids series, yeah.
Oh,
check that out.
There's there's an interactive Carmen Sandiego on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a whole Carmen Sandiego animated reboot series, where she was raised by the bad guys but now steals for the good guys. It's a whole thing.
Okay,
really well done. Like, I love the show. and my kids even watched it.
Oh wow.
But we finished it, and it's like a complete arc. And they wanted to get more, so we found this interactive thing and tried it, and it was simple enough that they could, follow along and make choices. It felt like it was an excuse for the writers to do all the silly things that they could never quite fit into the main episode. So they're like, there's an extended dancing scene where every character is showing off their moves. And, it felt a little bit like animated credits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or the credits of an animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Cool. I had no idea, and I'm usually pretty weirdly kind of attuned to Carmen Sandiego stuff because of adaptation decay. So,
oh yeah,
I guess
you should check it out. It's if you're craving Carmen Sandiego, you could do worse.
Nice. Late Shift. That studio Control Movie has made some other stuff that I've seen on sale here frequently. Like, have you put your eye on Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus?
That was one that was given to me by Greg, I believe, for my birthday. So I will be playing that at some point.
Nice. Cool. Well, you had Contradiction, The Quarry, and Late Shift. Lots of interactive movie stuff.
Yeah, I needed something easy. I am actually playing other stuff. Like I have been playing Sonic Mania, Kirby, and Bloodstained, but I will talk about those another time.
Oh, Bloodstained. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I have gone back to a couple old favorites. For good reasons though. First one is Into the Breach.
Oh yeah, because they put out that new the new expansion, the free one.
A massive free update. To the tune of like doubling the amount of content in the game and adding all sorts of end game stuff. And yeah, it's been really, really fun to jump back in. So anyone who hasn't heard of it, one, what are you doing? Go find Into the Breach right now. But it's a turn-based mech combat game. And it's a very small field, and it almost plays like a puzzle game where every turn you're kind of trying to find a very narrow set of choices or the set of choices are wide, but a very narrow set of them that are correct to actually get you through the battle.
Yeah,
ton of fun, and really the interesting thing is that all of the mechs, rather than just doing direct damage, will do some kind of movement-based damage, either moving themselves or moving the enemy, or just doing something that kind of deals damage in a creative way that can also be used for positioning.
Yeah.
And that's that's one of the things that I always loved the most about the game is you never just clicked to deal damage. Like you always had to be mindful about all of the side effects, we'll call them, or in many cases those were the primary effects that you were trying to leverage. And yeah, there's like, I don't know, 4 or 6 new squads or something that they've put together. So you get, each squad is 3 individual mechs that all work together around some kind of synergy. This is them just putting out a ton of new ideas for how different mechs and movement and damage abilities can be combined together.
Yeah, it's a huge deal because like each individual squad, the differences are not small. They end up being really profound changes to the way you engage with the combat. So like, what's the coolest new idea for a squad that you have seen in there?
Yeah, my favorite so far is Cataclysm. And this is based on, I guess there's an island that's the RTS island, and in the game they have a reason for that acronym, or it stands for something other than real-time strategy. But it's basically designed around breaking up the Earth itself. And so kind of the keystone mech can attack someone right in front of it. And it changes the direction that person is facing, which is incredibly powerful in and of itself. But then if you kill the thing that you're attacking, it cracks the 4 tiles orthogonally around it, so that the next time that those tiles take damage in any form, they crumble into just a gaping pit. And then you've got another mech that can throw enemies. It doesn't deal much damage, but you can kind of throw them. Which I mean, you're kaiju fighting, throwing these enemies over cities into pits that were formed by the other mech. It's so damn cool. And then the third mech in the trio is a little more generic. It just fires 3 missiles in a line that push each of the tiles that it hits back.
Yeah.
Which winds up being a lot harder to manage than you think, because you're pushing things in a line. They're not going to take damage from each other, which you leverage a lot, and so you have to like position it so that where the missiles are hitting is pushing into the thing, not hitting the thing that you want it to push into. And there's the whole thing, enemies tend to be next to cities. And so when you have to have your missiles in a line, you get trapped like, well, I want to shoot this kaiju, but I also don't want to shoot the city.
But shooting the kaiju in the city might stop it from damaging that city or another one, knocking off the map. Like you end up making, at least in the base game, you end up making lots of, let's say, calculated sacrifices.
Yeah, that my missiles do 1 damage. This kaiju is about to do 3 damage.
Yeah.
Half the city will perish, but the other half would perish if I didn't shoot.
Right.
You can also buy upgrades, throughout the campaign, and one of the upgrades for those missiles is that cities don't take damage, which is hugely empowering, and also baits you into not realizing that your other mechs still take damage from the missiles. Right. How that works, I don't know. But all these little interactions that you learn the hard way are kind of the fun of the game. I don't remember this feature from last time, so I think they added it, but you might have to check me on that. There is an undo move button that you could use. Every mech gets a move and an action. And so if you move and realize you messed something up or don't want to be there, you can undo the move as long as you're still, you haven't taken your action. Now there is also a reset turn button where, let's say you've taken an action and realized you didn't mean to do that, or whatever the reason, you can reset an entire turn once per game.
Oh, nice.
So it's, I've used it pretty much every time I've played.
Oh, well, you're not really playing the game then if you use something the studio gave you.
I know, right? How dare I? And I've wished I could use it more often, because there's an element of, thankfully Into the Breach is small enough that you can kind of hold everything in your head, but it's asking you to hold a lot in your head, even so. In terms of like, okay, if I'm here and I fire there, that's gonna move this guy here, which then if my next guy is there, he'll be able to damage, but he has to move there before I move the guy there. And it's just like, it stacks up to where if I was playing a board game, I would absolutely be moving pieces around and just so I could visually represent what I was thinking, and then have a moment of like, okay, now this is what I want to do. I want to lock it in. There's no RNG, so you're not cheating the system or anything like that. Like,
the thing that makes it not overpowered is the fact that you always know what the enemy is going to do. You have perfect information, so it's not like you are save scumming in any real way. It's just like, oh, I didn't take that particular effect into account, or
right.
In my case, maybe I looked at that at the beginning and said, oh, I definitely shouldn't do shouldn't do X, but I should do A, B, C, and not do Y and Z, and then I do X because I forgot. That was the first little condition that was in my head, and it got knocked off the stack.
Yeah, or even sometimes it's I want to see if I can reach with an attack from a certain point, and rather than going into the menus and looking up how many tiles an attack can reach, I just want to move there, check how far the attack reaches with what I see on screen, and then hit undo to keep on planning. Like that's all I want. So it's less oppressive now. They clearly heard that feedback. They gave you more options to kind of reset a turn if you need to. I don't think they'd hurt anyone if they went further down that road.
Yeah.
Especially because this is such a run based game, and a game that you're going to spend a lot of time with. Like it's a guarantee that at some point you're going to even just misclick or brain fart. Even the best player is going to have that happen sometime with the nature of the game. But yeah, so the Cataclysm are super cool. The other squad that I played with briefly was all centered around getting enemies to attack each other. And that's a fun idea. It was all centered around the one of your mechs had a passive that caused enemy on enemy damage to deal extra damage, and I felt like if I didn't pump that right away, I was kind of neutering what everyone else was trying to do.
Right.
So, some squads feel like they've got that keystone mech or keystone ability. Other squads feel a little more well-rounded. And I'm not sure one of those is better than the other or not. Like, it's just different flavors.
I mean, that was the case in some of the sets in the base game, which is like, oh, you've got specialized squads that are more situational that you have to really learn how to use, and you have like the starting basic ones which are like, yeah, this will generally apply, like that is a spectrum that they've established before.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it really does feel like a sequel, or I mean, just such a massive amount of extra content that, like, this is what you're getting instead of Into the Breach 2, and you don't even have to pay for it. That's pretty incredible. So
yeah,
well worth checking out if you liked any part of the first game.
People have been asking, because we covered Into the Breach on WAF, like, oh, are you guys going to do any content about the update? And it's like, I really want to dig back in. Like, it's a game I enjoyed, but like, I have forgotten so much about how to play the base stuff, that going back to it would be like, I would have to play it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I did probably 2 or 3 just throwaway runs where I got a couple missions deep and was like, okay, it's coming back now, quit, start again. Yeah. Okay, now it's coming back. Okay, quit, start again.
Yeah.
I say quit. You can't really do that. You have to abandon the timeline and choose a pilot to survive.
Yeah.
And then warp out. It's so brutal from like a narrative standpoint. Be like, man, our commander kind of forgot what the controls were, so 2/3 of your squad is going to die.
He's new at this, so they've been thrown into the time vortex.
So it's the dark side of Ender's Game.
Oof.
So that's Into the Breach and the new update. I don't think it's a named update. I don't know if they said anything. There's a bunch of also like advanced modes, so you can have like advanced enemies or advanced terrain, and it's all like increasing the difficulty. I haven't messed around with that yet.
Yeah,
but just a lot of new content for a great game.
Neat.
And then the other game I've gone back to is Divinity: Original Sin.
The original or the second one?
The enhanced edition. So Divinity: Original Sin Enhanced Edition. I don't know.
This is the one that I have not played.
Okay, I think I've got I've got Divine Divinity and then Divinity Original Sin Classic, which I just think is Divinity Original Sin without graphical upgrades.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I tried playing this game. It's a CRPG turn-based game in combat, and then just kind of wandering around and clicking from an isometric perspective apart from combat. They kind of touted as like a classless game, from where any person can have any skills or any combination of skills.
Oh, I thought you meant it like spits on the floor and scratches the armpits.
I mean, you can play that kind of character if you want.
Yeah.
And then you also their big thing is that you can play, your main character is actually 2 separate characters, and you can cause them to disagree and kind of resolve differences separately, and they'll get different bonuses or attributes based on how they respond. And it is really accommodating and playing kind of a, or at least the way I'm playing it, like a spiteful duo. Like my rogue is very happy-go-lucky and trusting, and my cleric is very cynical and standoffish. And I haven't felt like I've missed a thing. In fact, I feel like I've gotten to see more of the game, or like that was kind of what people had in mind, what the designers had in mind when they were building it. So that is a lot of fun. But yeah, lots of turn-based combat in my week, I guess.
Yeah.
I tried. They have a feature where you can play co-op, where each of you controls one of the main characters. And that's what I tried when I played it the first time. And that just, it didn't work as well as it went in my mind. beyond just all the scheduling stuff, there's just, different play styles and different, amount of times that people wanted to spend reading and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it is going over much more smoothly as a single player experience. And I always meant to come back to it, but I have finally got around to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you taken a big chunk out of it, or have you just kind of dabbled back in for a chapter or so?
I am not yet to where I had gotten to before, but I've forgotten so much of the game that it
kind of doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I am kind of out into the wilds for the first time. So you start the game in a town and spend a lot of time in that town doing kind of this murder mystery quest.
Mm-hmm.
And the writing is fantastic. And just it is the closest I feel to a tabletop RPG experience that I've gotten from a CRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And what actually drove me into the arms of Divinity Original Sin is there's a game out called Solasta or something like that. Hold on, I got to bring it up because I'm forgetting it. It's it's a CRPG. It's very tabletop aware to the point where they're basically like, we're officially using the 5e system, and you're going to see dice roll when you make checks, and you're going to build characters just like you do in all that stuff. So it is very true to the PC experience. Yeah, Solasta. It just felt wrong though. It didn't have any of that tabletop vibe to it that that Divinity does.
So Solasta looks like it's more focused on the combat, whereas so I've never played the original Divinity, Original Sin, but from the sequel, there's great interest to both the combat and the story, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That Solasta focuses a lot more on combat. That is also probably why I didn't like it, because in the first 2 hours, kind of getting through all the tutorial and getting through the first area, you do combat once, and it's a very rudimentary encounter.
Ugh.
So yeah, it's like lean into your strength or don't. Like, come on now. So yeah, I kind of finished my time with that, and I was like, this isn't doing it, but I still want that feel. I went to Divinity, and it is delivering.
Nice.
Yeah, but like I said, I went rogue and cleric, and went for a very tanky cleric, and going from that perspective of like, hey, you can swap out any skills you want. The thing that I'm very pleased with myself that I kind of customized was, my rogue can go invisible and then like backstab an enemy to start combat, but that means he needs to be further away from everyone else. So I gave my cleric a bull rush ability that she can kind of dash over a longer distance and knock people down, to kind of get her into combat once things get started off by the rogue. And that has worked very well. So
yeah,
I just, this game, I'm so happy I came back to it, and it does a really good job of just making you feel like you truly can make any choices you want.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Also, pro tip: steal everything. Steal all the paintings from the wall, in particular.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone's not looking, be stealing.
If you're playing a CRPG, you have to be stealing.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. That's my 2.
Cool. I'm going to disappoint you guys. I've not been playing anything that hasn't been assignment play. Deep in the Final Fantasy 12 mines. I have been streaming Resident Evil 8, which is a weird game because it simultaneously feels like it came out 3 years ago, but also it came out just over a year ago. You know? So that's a fun one to stream, just because like I'm not doing any special challenge run. Decided not to bump up the difficulty because I didn't want to face that kind of frustration on stream. Just wanted to vibe with something familiar. It's fun to play on a stream though, because everybody can just marvel at how just perfectly smooth Ethan's brain is. It's like an undisturbed lake under a placid moonlight. Like picture one of those gazing orbs that people put in their front yard.
Yeah.
That's the dome this guy's just walking around with. It's remarkable how dumb he is, and by extension, just like how much the story of that game just hangs in tatters.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way that's like it is not engaging, it is still engaging, but like the more scrutiny it comes up against, the more it's like, yeah, you guys are just kind of going what feels like it'd be coolest right now. And there's there's an audacity to that is respectable at the very least. But yeah, I use my special like completion points or whatever and bought Chris Redfield's assault rifle, and I've just been mowing shit down.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's so that's me. Resident Evil 8. Gonna finish that up this weekend and then hopefully move on. Final Fantasy 12 will be done this weekend, so that'll be I'll actually have time for non-work games. So
what's the status of the next Resident Evil entry? I feel like there's always one on the horizon, but I can't call to mind exactly what's going on.
I don't know that Resident Evil 9 has been announced. They there's the DLC for 8 coming out this October. That's kind of a mixture of gameplay DLC, like expanded modes and stuff like that. Then there's story DLC that's going to expand on one of the characters from 8, possibly nodding toward what a sequel might be. However, that's what we thought about Resident Evil 7's DLC. Like, oh, this will indicate what the sequel is going to be. Hasn't had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next Resident Evil game that we actually know anything about is the Resident Evil 4 the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is coming out next year.
That's right. Okay.
Yes. Which
and I don't know if I've had the courage to be overt about this, but I've never actually played Resident Evil 4.
Oh.
I've seen, like in college, I was in the room for you guys playing snippets of it, but
yeah,
I have my eyes on the re-release as an excuse to actually go back and clear up that blind spot.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how the re-release turns out, which is kind of up in the air, that might be a good way to go about it. Resident Evil 4, Jala, you can throw in on this too, because you know the series as well. Resident Evil 4 to me still feels so modern that I am skeptical of how much a re-release will bring to it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't really know that they're gonna be able to do anything that's gonna really like revolutionize much of anything. I mean, for me, about the only thing that they might do that would improve it would be to just fix some of the pacing, because that game is a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
They could trim off some parts that need to be taken off, or shorten them a little bit. But by and large, it's like, I don't know how they're going to handle Salazar. I mean,
yeah,
that's the original has such a goofiness to it that, like, I don't think from the trailers we've gotten that there's going to be any of that goofiness. So
that'll be such a shame.
I know, if they don't have that in there, it's going to be so bad, because that it's Leon and Salazar just sitting here being like stupid little kids to each other, and it's so fun.
Yeah,
you really hope that whoever's doing that understands the assignment.
Yeah.
It's not something that I want to be darker and more hardcore. The campiness is a selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've really kind of struck a balance in that one and made it have some really effective, scary stuff, but also a lot of just ridiculous interactions and just goofiness that makes it fun.
Mm-hmm. Better pacing will be welcome. I just don't know that they will have the let's say proper discretion to know how to achieve the pacing without cutting to the heartwood, right?
Yeah.
Oh well. So that's Resident Evil 8. I've talked about that game to death. It is neat playing it with an audience because everybody is just kind of doing a live react, kind of clowning on it like it's a Rocky Horror or something like that.
Yep. I would be there for that if I weren't,
Yeah, if trust me, I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's all I got.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I've got in-person events on the brain. So I asked, have you ever gone to an in-person gaming event? be it a convention, a tournament, or a meetup. And how was it? And if you've never gone, or even if you've never gone, what event would you want to check out in the future?
Yeah. I'll get us started here with Sean, who says, in the UK, we have EGX, which is a pretty great gaming convention that I go to every year. Usually has a great mix of big titles and indies. Oh, that's nice.
You
Yeah.
want to strike that balance, the big hype stuff, and then being able to wander around and be like, ooh, I've never heard of that before.
I think the presence of indies really is really key to that to me. Because like, I don't know, I think of big titles at a show like that, and all I can imagine is lines, and I don't want to be standing in lines.
Yeah.
And gosh, just the British indie scene. Cool to go to a place where that is on display.
For sure.
Jala, what does John say?
John says, prior to the pandemic, I would go to weekly local fighting game tournaments, and it was always a blast, even if I didn't always do so well. As for events I'd like to attend, while EVO is the big one for fighting games, I've heard CEO and Combo Breaker are better run and overall better experiences, so either of those would be an awesome time.
Yeah. Ben would be the person to talk to about EVO, because I know that he went to it a few times when he was living in Vegas.
Yeah. I don't know where I got this impression, but I share the impression that Evo is kind of like, crushed under its own weight and also just full of the most toxic people.
Yeah, it just the sense is that EVO is so established that it's just kind of over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I have no idea. Cool. And Lance contributes in there and says that, CEO Taku and Jabali are they're the best organizers. Or no, they had been to CEO Taku, and the organizer Jabali is really good. So that is a second on there. Yeah.
See it, CEO Taku, I guess.
Dennis, what does Greg say?
Greg says, I've always wanted to go to something like PAX East, but never had the chance to. And I can easily take the train, into Boston for PAX East. I've been to Pintastic a few times, though. It's a yearly pinball gathering nearby here in New England. People bring all of their pinball games, and you pay for a pass, and they are all on free-to-play. Nice. I'm getting giddy just reading this. Vendors sell a lot of gaming stuff there as well. I live pinball, but it's hard to find pinball in the wild these days, so these are always a blast to go to. I've also been to several sci-fi conventions, such as Dragon Con in Atlanta, and there's a lot of gaming vendors and events that happen there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can only speak to the pinball that I've seen at Midwest Gaming Classic and at PRGE. But anytime there's a bunch of pinball machines together, you always get to play like fun little oddities, like the very bad but cool Joust pinball game, where it's you facing off against somebody. It is two player sit down pinball.
Yes. Okay. I think I saw that at the Vegas's Pinball Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I just get anxiety just thinking about everyone moving their tables.
Oh yeah.
To a certain physical location. Like that has to be so terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that really benefits from institutional memory, because like, a big show like PRGE, their load in has such a process to it that you feel really taken care of by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Glenn says, I went to a convention called Midwest Gaming Classic a few years ago. I briefly met Gary and Kole. You were awesome to meet in person, and I hope to do so again. That feels weird to read about myself. I am happy you enjoyed the time out there. Midwest Gaming Classic is cool. And the few years in a row that we went, it was neat to see it grow like it did. I have no idea what it's like now. But yeah, I miss doing live events because those are fun. Now I'm sad.
Be happy because people think you're awesome.
Jala, what does Jordan say? And if you want to pass off for saving your voice reasons, let me know.
I will give it a shot. Jordan says, I used to go to Otakon with some friends every summer. It was mainly an anime convention, but they had a large gaming room and held small gaming tournaments sometimes. One of us talked the others into entering a small Guilty Gear tournament. We were all promptly destroyed in the first match, except me. I had never played before, but won on a technicality because my first opponent never showed up. Embarrassing? Absolutely. Did it stop me from being smug about being the only person in the group that got to round 2? No. I redeemed myself later in the gaming room when I sat down to play some Soul Calibur with a group of friendly strangers. As I debated on who to play, one of the guys watching commented on how Lizard Man still had a flashing new above his portrait. Nobody plays Lizard Man, my opponent says. They all laughed. I smiled to myself, knowing what had to be done. His friends went absolutely wild as I obliterated him in the first match, scoring a perfect win. I narrowly lost the second match, and then in the third round we got a double KO. While the match ended in a draw, I felt like I had proven my point and felt pretty good about myself. I still kind of regret not hanging around to play a few more matches, but I'll take one good fight over that tournament any day.
Nice. It's always good when you get to shove somebody's just little attitude back in their face.
Yeah, I think you got the exact right amount of close to being a Lizard Man main.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Is there a stigma against Lizard Man?
Apparently so.
Oh, okay, all right. You said that like you knew what was up.
No. I from the context of the story.
Okay.
If you are a Lizard Man main, I'm sorry. By proxy, I know nothing about the game. So.
Oh, and Dennis, what does Rookie say?
Rookie says, shortly after Street Fighter 4 came out, I went to a local fighting game tournament. My first. I got thoroughly wrecked. This wasn't unexpected. I was hoping to pick up some tips and have a good time. However, talking to all the other players made me realize that, one, I'd need to change my character, since Vega was the second worst character in vanilla Street Fighter 4, and two, it would take a lot of work for me to even become mediocre. Heck, I didn't even understand half the words coming out of everyone's mouths. Frame traps? Hit confirms? What? So that was the end of my fighting game tournament career. No one takes away my Vega. At least he was better than Dan.
Cool.
As far as future events, I'd love to go to Dragon Con and Duckfest someday. Hell yeah. I had everything booked to go to Duckfest 2019, but had to last minute cancel everything because of a minor hurricane coming my way at the time.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I it's so interesting to me, these conventions that have tournaments in them seem like what you need. Like, you can't go to a tournament where people are there for the tournament. You need to go to a convention where they have tournaments that people can kind of fall into, and then you're going to find the people that are at your skill level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the lesson here.
Props to Rookie for playing Vega. I always liked Vega as a character, but I don't play charge characters in fighting games, so I never played him, but I liked him. So good on you.
Comes in with that rose. It's charming.
Well, also he's like from Spain, and he originally was like a weird ninja matador person, and like my family's from Spain, so identification.
Yeah.
So.
All I have is Ken. Oh my gosh. Just going to a general place, a general convention that happens to be having a tournament is the way to go, because you can hang out in the free play area and just people sort in kind, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just the natural weird little matchmaking that tends to happen. Yeah. Let's see. For me, I mean, obviously done a ton of these for just work stuff. Just to combine these, like the coolest tournament one every year that I see is the Tetris World Championship at the Portland Retro Games Expo. Is always real fun to watch because the crowd gets real into it, and high level NES Tetris play is just really nerve wracking. Those people are superhuman. But I think, there are ones that I'd be interested in going to. I don't see myself going to any of them anytime soon. But if they're still around, it would be cool to go to an AGDQ. I understand that those are really fun, and those are relatively close. They're up in Minnesota. I would like to go to MagFest out in DC. which I understand people have always talked that up. It's been impossible to get like a panel there for WAF, but it'd be cool to go to. Yeah, no, those would be the two of them. And at least for me right now that I can think of. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Jala, how about you?
I've been to Classic Game Fest and PAX South several times. I've also been to a number of just anime conventions that happen to have gaming stuff, a wide variety of those. I don't do tournaments. I'm too weird about that. Like I don't want to compete. I don't like competing against other people. I just don't
want to embarrass everyone
doing
else.
that. No, like I don't like competing with people. I prefer co-op. So tournaments are fun to watch, but I have like zero interest in actually fighting people.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Nice. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff on the board gaming front, but I thought I'd limit myself to video games for this. In college, I did a Guitar Hero 3 tournament.
Oh yeah, that was at the the theater in McMicken, right?
Yeah, in Tangeman University Center.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yep. And it was a lot of fun. Though the one thing that was so interesting and maybe specific to Guitar Hero is, everyone was trying to like dial in for the delay because they had it up on the giant theater system.
Yeah,
so it's just whacked to hell. But let's see. I think what I go out on. I know I played Monkey Wrench and did good on that. And then the next song I went on, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It was a fun time and everyone was super friendly and chill. And so that was a good experience.
I think I went to one of those. I don't remember if I competed at all. I have no memory of results, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and I could totally see just going to hang out and have fun.
Yeah,
like that would work. Again, with that size of tournament and that vibe of crowd. Totally cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the future, I think it would be fun to do some kind of like big arena esports final kind of deal. Like just get that sports atmosphere for a game that I really like. I've fallen out of love with Overwatch, so I don't think that would be it anymore. But something to go watch, maybe the league finals, even though I don't really play that anymore, would just be cool to be in the stadium for it, because it's it's fun to watch online. I'm sure it's 10 times as fun to watch in person.
Yeah, you get that energy, get to follow along the crowd. Yeah, nice. Well, thank you everybody for writing in. If you would like to participate in these in the future, you can go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you very much for responding. And thank you, Dennis, for posting it.
The
end boss. Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Jala, what is happening in the industry generally?
The industry generally had booming sales during pandemic, but now the game sales are starting to slow down again as people are buying less games. Gamers are playing for less time this year than they were last year, and there has been a 13 to 15% decline in game sales and 8 to 11% decline in hardware sales. Some of that is due to inflation, of course, but also due to people not being at home as much, generally speaking.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. I don't know. You see a win. You don't want to talk about like a windfall because it's a terrible thing that has happened, but like you can't see a huge spike and then say like, oh, we can plan for this forever. It's like the Simpsons gag where Disco Stew is looking for investment and he pulls up a chart. And he says, here's disco sales up through 1979, and if this trend continues, so as this is just a natural part of people not being stuck in their homes all the time because the government refuses to do anything to actually solve the problem.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm also curious how subscription services factor into this. because I get like, oh, unit sales fell. Like, well, of course they did, because everything is gaming Netflix now with PlayStation Plus and Game Pass and this, that, and the other thing. Like, I'd be very interested to see if like subscription services and then obviously microtransactions and stuff like that factor in.
I have zero idea, because there is zero visibility into how subscription service, or even like PlayStation Plus, it used to be the monthly free game, what that actually does for a studio's bottom line or their sales or whatever. There's no, single source of truth on any of that.
Yeah, no, it's all kept very close to the chest.
Yeah.
But part of the reason that so many people were so slow into just kind of the digital revolution for gaming was they were kind of looking at the wrong things, and it was all about unit sales. And if it's a digital thing, how are you moving units? And no one can figure that out because it was new and scary and what have you. So I totally believe that there's a spike and a drop like that. That makes sense with what's happened the past couple of years. Yeah. I'm guessing it is also compounded by people looking at the wrong data.
Yeah. No idea. Dennis, what is Sony taking away from me that I had no idea was here and don't care about, really?
Well, no, now that it's being taken away, the human reaction is to say, no, I wanted that. Yeah, apparently all this time you've been able to give accolades to friends or other players, like supported natively as a PS5 system feature. So apparently you could just go to someone's profile and you could rate them as helpful, welcoming, or a good sport. And then those accolades would be tracked, and you could see like where your ratings stood and what proportions there were. Really, if you've played most modern multiplayer games, it was a version of that where like you can give kudos, and nobody used it. Partially because Sony never mentioned it, and now they're like, yeah, we'll abandon that formally.
The interface on the PlayStation 5 doesn't necessarily, it's not conducive to, let's say, feature discoverability.
Yeah, no, I think they're looking to get you into the game as fast as possible.
Also, this paints a very unflattering picture with the video gaming space's relationship with positivity and negativity.
That is fair. There's at least one person out there that was like obsessively farming accolades.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of every match, all right guys, good job. Like let's please open the menu. You just got to hit this button and that button. And
good game. Like, rate, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. This also brought a thought to mind though, as I was browsing through this. Like I said, the categories: helpful, welcoming, and good sport. And I've seen all different versions of that, but it's like different ways you can be nice.
Right.
The majority of the time when I actually want to go give an accolade to someone, it is like, you were the hard carry. Thank you.
Yeah. And
there's no, I don't know what category to put that under. And it feels like they're explicitly avoiding any kind of accolade that would be performance based.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, you want to foster positivity that isn't just based on whether you won or lost, but sometimes you won because that guy was a badass and you want to tell him that. So I feel like keep helpful, welcoming, and good sport. Just put hard carry as a fourth category.
They also need an option for like, you were kind of a dick to me, but in hindsight, I was being a lot during that hour.
So. Patience is the category.
I'm not heartbroken about this, because just strip away social features that are not additive, strip away storefront features that are not additive, strip away, please.
They were hoping they could track data on this and sell, the information of whoever had the most accolades. So whatever, it's fine that it's gone.
Yeah.
So that is PlayStation 5 interface is getting cleaner. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Looking for happy-go-lucky chumps. Just farming marks off of all the nice folks.
Yeah.
For mine, speaking of cutting things away, this is relatively minor, but I think it's actually going to make a pretty big deal, and a pretty big difference on one of the biggest storefronts in digital games. Steam is issuing new guidelines, which make it so that their a video game's key art can no longer have all that shit on it.
Is that the official statement?
Yeah, it's got too much shit on it. No, so anybody who's been on Steam has noticed, like, okay, you're flipping through, you're looking at the banner art for a particular game, and you see review scores, you see blurbs, you see awards that they've that are there. You see like temporary, graphics that are for things that are temporary, like, oh, this game is 50% off. It's all promotional and not actually informational. It tells you basically nothing about the game itself. It's just a bunch of visual clutter of information that could be temporary, or it should be just part of the sales copy rather than that. And Valve is like, no, that space is meant for actually showing people kind of what the game is. So they are saying, like, none of this superfluous stuff, excepting any doodads that you might put in about, I guess they call them capsules, that you put in about like new content or like major updates. Like, oh, here's the version for this season or what have you. But that's pretty much it. Anything else is supposed to be like in a temporary. In a temporary slot that will be shown conditionally, right? I think that this is generally good, because I'm not a fan of clutter.
Look, says you, as the designer of Superfluous Marketing Simulator, this makes my life a nightmare.
How do I demonstrate my product?
How will people see how many callouts are in my game if I don't put callouts about my game on my game?
I know, right? I mean, am I the only person here who that stuff bothers?
Oh no, totally. Like the visual blight and clutter is really annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. The announcement that they put out, they got me, and it makes sense, because they couldn't actually, like, in announcing this, give favor to any particular game, because it could be considered an advertisement, right? So they made up 4 different games, and I was interested in all of them in different ways. So fuck me, I went onto Steam and I was like, what is Guitar Billionaire?
Yeah, I just now realized that those weren't real. I just totally read it as what's the top right one?
The Consecration of Esme,
Yeah.
which looks like a Dear Esther,
Dear
kind
Esther,
of like
like
indie kind of thing. It's Probably Fine is the other one. And I was like, what's that? Custard Castle Small Claims Court. I was like, Small Claims Court. Wow.
They did a bunch of these for their summer sale or something. That like fake games.
Yeah.
So I wonder if these are reused from that, or if these were created in addition, because maybe the Small Claims Court I'd seen before, but I don't recognize the other ones.
Well, it's like the fake movies on Seinfeld. Whenever they go, it's like, oh yeah, you Death Blow, Rochelle, Sack Lunch. You're like, well, I do want to know why they're in that big paperback.
Yeah,
yeah. So,
there's a great website called Nestflix. And if I found out about it from one of you guys, I am so sorry. But it is a compendium of all the media within media. It is excellent.
Yeah, that was that was absolutely an end boss or a brief at some point.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. So Steam getting a little bit easier to look at. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I feel questions.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Level number 424. Another short one, but keep in mind all those modes that we said we were in before. We're just in a short episode mode, and that's fine. You know what you can do to support this show? Patreon, Facebook, all of those things. Ratings, reviews, tell your friends. Jala, what do you have to promote?
Well, people can find my general interdisciplinary discussions with friends about media and also various life topics on jalachan.place. And the most recent episode of Monster Dear Monster, which is currently out, is about Until Dawn and the Quarry. You can find that on monsterdeer.monster.
Nice. Dennis, you got some stuff going on.
Yeah, I'll be at Gen Con. I have a table location now pinned down, so I will be at table 24 in Stadium Green.
Okay.
So Gen Con, has spilled out of the convention center and into Lucas Oil Stadium as well. And there's a bunch of cool stuff and events over there. So I will be in that section. Table 24, Stadium Green. Come hang out.
Cool. Nice. Well, let's cut this off so Jala can get some rest. I am forgetting how to end the show, so let me just say I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. Find me at Gen Con, Table 24 in Stadium Green.
And I am Jala Chun in places.
And stick around for some titles.
I had one that I lost when we lost the audio earlier.
It was licking Sonic's feet or something like that.
Oh yeah, licking the icing off of his feet or off of his toes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that might take us into it'll take us into a dark SEO column. I'm not again it because of the context, but oh man, I feel bad because I didn't write any down.
Well, I typed two other ones, Happy-Go-Lucky Chumps and Superfluous Marketing Simulator. I like Superfluous Marketing Simulator myself.
That's pretty good.
I had that as well. I also had Lizard Man Main.
Okay, Happy-Go-Lucky Chumps and Lizard Man Main.
I'm here for Superfluous Marketing Simulator.
Yeah, Superfluous Marketing Simulator is going to take it. I just wrote Superfluous Marketing Simulator 8 because I always put a little asterisk next to the ones that are to indicate votes. Yeah, so it's a rich and storied franchise. Cool. I'm gonna go and play way too much Final Fantasy 12. Jala, please feel better.
I shall continue to endeavor to do so.
Yeah. All right. And Dennis, when is Gen Con? If I can remember.
I show up there on Thursday. I think there's like loading and setting up on Wednesday. But
oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, we need to commit the recording. It is